Hello everybody and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. You guys have been recommending me a ton of different altcoins that you want me to cover. So today I'm going to be diving in and giving you guys an updated analysis on the project Cardano. This is one that I've actually been actively accumulating since early spring of last year in 2019. And so I figured today would be an excellent time for me to dive in, talk about where I expect this thing in the short term, mid-term, as well as the long term over the next couple years. This is a really exciting project that I think has a big, strong fundamental use case in society today, but we just need to experience a little bit more adoption before that can fully take footing. If you're new and just finding this channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and then click the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any updates that I post. If you guys are looking for my course or signals, whether you want to follow my educational content and copy my own investment strategies, make sure you guys click the invitation link in the description of this video, and there you're going to get access to my Discord server. You guys can get a hold of me on Discord, you can find me on Twitter, and you can even email me or find me on Instagram and Facebook. I have all of my social media handles in the description of this video, so make sure you guys check all of those out and follow me on all of those fronts. With all that being said, guys, thank you all so much for the support. You guys are awesome and are constantly killing it here on this channel. I just really appreciate all of the kind words that you guys give me every single day. It's truly an honor to be able to make these videos for you guys. I have so much fun doing that. So with all that being said, guys, let's jump right in the video today. Alright guys, so here we are taking a look at Cardano. Now, kind of the way that I'm going to structure these videos from now on is I've noticed that anytime I talk about altcoins, you guys find it a lot more helpful if I actually do the altcoin analysis first and then do Bitcoin at the end. So if you're here wanting to follow my Bitcoin analysis as well, make sure you watch to the end of this video, and then I'm going to be covering Bitcoin. So today we're going to be getting in and taking a look at Cardano on the weekly time frame. Now, Cardano to me was one of the most hyped coins in 2017. Now, we kind of started around September of 2017, and then we had a very massive cycle where Cardano saw pretty massive gains, about a 50x return in that move. And so this was a very hyped market cycle. Now, what happened is from that point, we sold off very, very hard, and I think that we're down 95% plus. Yeah, so we're down about 97% from the all-time high down to the all-time low of this cycle. So this was one of the altcoins that actually fell a lot harder than the rest of the market. Now, kind of what I've noticed here inside of Cardano is the fact that this just looks like a potential for a double bottom formation and a reversal pattern. Now, I actually bought my first bit of Cardano right about here last year. This is where I started accumulating Cardano. And then I made a little bit of profit here, but I actually didn't sell any of it because these were for my long-term bags, and so I really wasn't too worried about the short-term swing. I was just going to hold that, and so technically I'm at a small loss, probably like a 5% loss or something. And so I've just been holding this one. I'm actually looking to scale back into another position here because I think that now could be a very good time to be buying. Now, kind of what I'm seeing here is the fact that we made our very early major resistance at about right here. This was our resistance level. We didn't quite swing up as high as some of the other altcoins, but we did swing and then we fell back down below. Now, kind of what I'm seeing right now is the fact that we pretty much fully retraced. This was our support level right here, and we fell right above that, and technically we have made a higher high. And so we just need to see kind of how we consolidate, but we formed this range right here. This is our resistance, and then this is our support. Now, kind of what I'm seeing right now is the fact that we have maintained support above our first low. We have maintained a higher high, but unless this sells through, if this sells through support, then I would expect this thing to actually fully retrace, and then we would fall a little bit lower, probably back down to about there. And so this is kind of the range that I'm watching for inside of Cardano. Now overall, this to me looks really decent, and to be completely honest, this reminds me of a double bottom reversal pattern. Now, a double bottom reversal pattern is a reversal pattern of this entire cycle. Now, if I show you guys kind of an example of what that looks like, let's go take a look at Bitcoin in the early days. So Bitcoin actually made one of these double bottom reversal patterns. Now, let's zoom in here a little bit. We can see that we had a very hyped market cycle. We topped out and started retracing, and then we made a double bottom. And that's where you have this little range that gets developed of support and resistance. and you make one attempt at support, we bounce up into resistance, fall back down and retest that support, and we don't break below that. And this is a consolidation pattern and a reversal pattern. Now, with bigger market cycles, you can see either a double top or a double bottom, but with cryptocurrency, double tops happen very fast, and in fact, this was actually an example of a double top, but it's on a weekly, so you can't tell. But they happen very quick because at the bubble phase, when they start retracing, it happens very quick. But with the accumulation cycle, these take a little bit longer to round out. And so kind of what I'm seeing with Cardano is roughly that same sort of market symmetry. Now, keep in mind, guys, there is still a very real possibility that we could actually sell through support and make a new low, or even just fully retrace at that. And so if that were the case and we actually sell through support at about this first green line, then that would actually invalidate this chart pattern. And I would assume that this is not a double bottom reversal pattern. But as of right now, this is looking pretty prime. Reminds me of a very complementary double bottom. In fact, this one looks a little bit less like Bitcoin's double bottom and a little bit more like Ethereum Classic's double bottom that we saw back in 2017. And if I drop it to a little bit, and if I drop it back, throw back to the early days when I first got into crypto, you guys will kind of see what that means. Now, this was a prime example. We have a big market cycle. We top out, we retrace, and then we make this range, right? This is roughly the same sort of range that we're seeing inside of Cardano today. We make an attempt at a low. We fail to break lower. We make a higher high. We hit resistance, and then we fall to retest that previous low, fail to break through it, and then we actually get the reversal. Now, this is kind of what I'm expecting with Cardano. Roughly the same thing that happened inside of Bitcoin, and the same thing that happened inside of Ethereum Classic, where after we break out of our resistance, so this would be our first resistance, this is our support down here, right? If we fail to break through support, we need to break out of this resistance level for it to be a confirmed double bottom. Now, all a double bottom reversal pattern means is a reversal of the current trend. So if it's a double top, it's a reversal of the bull trend. If it's a double bottom, it's the reversal of a bearish trend. And so the double bottom reversal pattern actually takes a lot longer to consolidate compared to a double top, because the market isn't parabolic on the bearish side, it's parabolic on the bull side. And when the bubble pops, it happens very quickly. And with the bearish side, it takes a lot longer to accumulate so that we can actually build the momentum needed to send this into new all-time highs. And so this is roughly the same sort of market symmetry that we're seeing inside of Ethereum. This is roughly the same sort of market symmetry that we're seeing inside of Cardano today. Very massive parabolic move. We fully retrace. We fall back down, make a low, fail to reject, fail to break out of resistance, fall back down to previous support. And so really what we need to see right now happen is we need to hold support. If we can hold support, then this is going to further my bias that this one actually is a double bottom. But that's key. First and foremost, we have to hold support. Now, on a little bit of a shorter time frame here, if we drop it to about a monthly time scale, we can see that we are technically trending below support. Now, I'm looking at the candle bodies here. We do have wicks all the way down to this area. But the thing that I'm seeing right now is the fact that our green candles are trending below support. And so we actually need to see a nice buyback come back in. And I would actually assume that we need to reclaim this level at about 3 cents, almost 4 cents, before I'm really going to be super bullish. And I'm not actually going to be taking any positions in this time until we actually reclaim some of these support and resistance levels, because it's a little bit too risky for me right now. I mean, if we reject here and continue to fall lower, why would I buy right now when I could just scoop some up lower, or why would I buy at all if it's just going to drop lower? And so this is what I'm going to be watching out for with Cardano. Overall, this looks like a really profitable cycle, if in fact we do play out in the way that I think we can. We really need to see a nice impulse coming from here, and with Bitcoin making its move, that's totally what this market is reliant on. I mean, if Bitcoin decides to drop a little bit lower, you know what the altcoins are going to do, and vice versa. If Bitcoin decides to go up, the altcoins are going to follow it. And so we really need to pay attention to what's happening currently right now. Now let's go through here and actually analyze some targets so that we can see kind of what may or may not happen in this cycle. Let's remove all drawing tools so it's a little bit easier to see. Now, if this is a double bottom reversal pattern, we have to clear out of this resistance here. This is our resistance level that has to be cleared before we can confirm the reversal. Now, the way that a double bottom reversal pattern works is you have the bearish side where we fall to the new lows, right? We kind of consolidate in this range. And then once we actually break outside of this out of this resistance zone, that's a confirmed breakout of the bearish trend. So what that means is our bear market has now reversed and we're now entering a new bull market. And so the target for a double bottom reversal is the all-time high. And so we would actually see a complete reversal of that previous trend, right? And so this is kind of what I'm expecting to see with Cardano. Now, the target's going to be the all-time high, but with a double bottom reversal, I would actually expect it to break the all-time high mark and actually continue on higher in that cycle. Now, from where we're currently sitting at, if we pull up our trading plan tool, from where we're currently sitting at in price to the all-time high would be about a 35x return. So out of all of the major altcoins, this is one that actually holds a bigger risk to reward ratio than a lot of the other ones. Now keep in mind, it's very possible that we can sell through support and actually continue to just fall into this trend, right? We don't have to go all the way to this all-time high. We may never make an all-time high again. But what I can say, guys, is the fact that this is a very solid looking setup if in fact we can hold support. If we can hold support, this looks like a very underdeveloped coin. This looks like a very cheap coin at that. And we could expect to see a very big upswing in the process. Now, if we take a look at the volume, we're going to see that we did have a nice new batch of buy volume that actually came in right here. When we experienced these early lows in December, we kind of made our first rally, and we got some good volume that came in. Now, it's not bigger than the cycle high volume, but it's pretty consistent with the previous cycle's volume, which leads me to believe that there is smart money accumulating this dip. Now, we need to really hold support here. I can't stress that enough, and I'm not personally going to be buying any until we can reclaim the support level. So where I bought right here, we need to reclaim that level once again. So if I had to draw a horizontal line here, I would probably be looking at about right here. If we can clear this level and actually find support above this, that's when I would be looking to buy. But until that happens, there's just a little bit too much risk involved for me personally, and so I'd rather wait for a little bit of more confirmation before I enter this market. But overall, this one looks really good. Now, I would say my first target, if in fact this is a confirmed double bottom, I do believe that we would actually hit this resistance level. And so roughly where we're at right now would be about a 10x return. Now, we don't have to hit all the way that high, but if we broke out, this was a confirmed double bottom, I could see something along the lines of this before we continued on in that cycle. And so that would be our real first major resistance level. It doesn't make sense to me that we would stop just barely above this. I would think that the impulse would have to be pretty significant. And so that's kind of what would ensue. A big impulse, we fall back down a little bit, come back close to retesting that previous high, and then we would continue on in that cycle. And so that's kind of what I'm watching out for on a short term as well as a medium term future for Cardano. Now, realistically, how high can this thing actually go? I mean, if this is a confirmed double bottom reversal, we break out of our resistance level, and then we start the new uptrend in the bull cycle, how high can this thing actually go? Now, for me personally, one way I like to gather targets is through Fibonacci extension tool. That's a pretty accurate way that I have found personally for taking profits. And so really I just target the 618 and then I just add a 1 in front of it every single time. And then that's generally how I do it. Now this one's a little bit off. Let's change it up a bit. So this is generally the way that I would target based off of Fibonacci. And so good place to take target would be this 1618, 2618, 3618, and then the 4618. And I would say that we could have a high upside target of about 10 bucks. Now that's really, really high because I know that Cardano has a big circulating supply. So it's very possible that we don't hit that. But either way, guys, the way these cycles work, the previous ones dwarf the last cycle. And so I really wouldn't be surprised to see a few of these high upside targets on the Fibonacci get rung. And actually we meet these targets. And that would still be a very, very profitable return on your investment. I mean, that puts us at about $2.10, $3.40, $4.65, and then about $6. And so this is kind of the way that I would look to scale out of this market. If you had just these 4 targets, then that would be, 20% sell at each one of these, or however you structure your trading plan. But this is kind of the way that I would personally look to trade Cardano and the way that I am trading it. Now, I have a small position. It's not a very big one inside of Cardano, but the next time I buy, I might look to add to a little bit bigger one, but not until we clear these resistance levels. And I can't really just stress that enough, because it's very important that we don't get stuck bag holding an asset, because this is one that's already fallen so much. Generally speaking, if an asset continues to fall, especially without seeing very much volume, then that can be a little bit of a higher risk setup. Now, I do really enjoy the fundamental perspective of Cardano. It's a proof of stake blockchain, and so it's a lot faster than some like Ethereum and some like Bitcoin. And so for me, I think Cardano has a significant use case if we can actually experience that adoption. As of right now, there's really no adoption taking place on Cardano. There's really not a lot of adoption taking place anywhere on these blockchains. But I mean, I think that Cardano has a little bit of a head start with the proof of stake blockchain. I know that Ethereum is actually migrating towards that, but this one's already out there. Now, I do believe that Ethereum is going to continue to lead this market. But I do think that Cardano has a significant use case in society. It's a very fast blockchain. It's proof of stake, and so you can make money that way. And so I really do like this project. Before we finish up here in Cardano, I wanted to show you guys kind of a similarity that I'm seeing between Cardano's market structure and what we saw back in the day with XRP. So if we pull up XRP's chart, we're going to go take a look at the early days of XRP, kind of see what happened way back when, because I do strongly believe that Cardano's market structure is following one closely of XRP. Now, this is the example that I had for you guys. We had our first market cycle in XRP ever back in 2013, had a massive bull move, and then we fully retraced. And I think that our retrace was roughly the same percent as what we saw inside of Cardano, about 95% from the high to the low. And then that's when we saw our first bit of accumulation. Now, I don't really know if the volume lines up. We saw a lot of sell volume taking place at capitulation. And then we saw some nice buy volume that kind of came in right here. Now, what that ensued was a big impulse, right? And then we kind of consolidated sideways for a very long time before we actually broke up and made a very parabolic market cycle. Now, I think that Cardano looks a lot like XRP. We had a massive rally. We sold off from that rally, almost fully retraced. Well, we did fully retrace. And then we make our first impulse. Now, even though it's a little bit different, XRP impulsed really high in that cycle, whereas Cardano kind of impulsed up to here and then fell back down, and we're kind of just doing that. And so it was a little bit of a different market structure, but I do see roughly the same sort of correlations, and I think that we could very easily see something like this play out. Now, even though we're kind of just consolidating sideways, I think that Cardano very easily could be throwing up roughly the same sort of symmetry, where we have a parabolic run, fully retrace, kind of consolidate and accumulate sideways, before we get a very, very, very massive market cycle on the way up, right? And then we just kind of continue on in that trend. And I think that we could see something very similar to what happened into XRP. Now, if we go back to this and we zoom out, let's take a look at how much XRP actually dwarfed the previous cycle. And we can see that we can barely even see it if we're not on a log scale. And so I think that we could see something similar inside of this, where we make a very massive cycle and we actually dwarf the last one. Now, my high upside target's $10, and I actually told you guys where I was going to scale out. I don't necessarily think that Cardano will go up as high as XRP, but it's still very possible. I'm not writing that off by any means, and I don't want you guys to think that I think it's impossible, because it very much is. And so this is what I wanted to share with you guys with this. Now, let's actually take a look inside of Bitcoin for all of the people that are here for Bitcoin analysis. Okay, guys, so here we are taking a look at Bitcoin on the dollar. Now, some interesting things are currently playing out inside of Bitcoin's market. Now, some things I want to talk about. If you guys did not watch the podcast episode with high altitude investing last night, I recommend going back and watch that. It's called the Moon Boy Podcast. We uploaded a little bit late, and so it didn't do quite as good as my other videos, but I talked about roughly the same sort of things that I'm going to right now. Now, what I'm seeing currently inside of Bitcoin are two different trend lines. These are the two descending resistances that I'm watching currently. Now, the first one's a little bit of a less conservative approach, and then the second one is more conservative. So the first one, which is right here, this little one right here, it still holds us and maintains resistance below this entire bear trend. We did have this one wick that kind of took us outside of that, but this was the resistance level that I was watching. Now, what's happened from that point, I told you guys that if we could clear this red resistance box and hold support of about $7,600, then this was going to be bullish. Now what happened was we did get that impulse, we broke outside of this descending resistance, and then we came down to about 76, 75 approximately, just right above that $7,600 mark. And then we actually kind of started getting a buyback from that. Now, it's possible that we could sell continually from where we're at right now, but we did see a buyback at that level. Now, what I want to see currently is the fact that we have both of these resistance levels. Now, we've cleared our first one, and we've had a successful retest. We're technically on support of my previous resistance box that we broke out of. And so overall things look good on a short-term basis. Now, we have this second resistance level that's a little bit more conservative because it holds outside of all of the resistance levels. Now, this one actually got tagged, but we sold off from that point. Now, the fact that we're trending outside of this first resistance level, and we're also on support of this horizontal resistance box, this leads me to believe that we could very easily expect to see more upside. Now, especially with this little green candle that we're starting to see right here, this looks pretty solid, and I would like to see this continue to play out, whether we get another green candle that lifts us up, but I want to see us break out of this short-term resistance. Now, if we can break out of about 81.50, then that's going to set us up for another attempt to break out of this final descending resistance. And to be quite honest, guys, this is my final descending resistance that I'm going to be watching. Now, if we look at a monthly time scale, let's actually remove our resistance levels and take a look here. Now, if we take a look at a monthly time scale, we can see here that we've technically pierced outside of these descending resistances. Now, if we line them up closely, we can see that this is what was holding us below resistance, and this green candle is actually piercing outside of that. Now, it's not very much. Keep in mind, this isn't enough to go full bolt hard on us. We just have to experience a little bit more continuation before I can flip that bias. But the way it's looking right now is very good. We've cleared my resistance box. We're starting to make contact outside of this descending resistance. And so overall, things are looking pretty excellent inside of Bitcoin. I think that as long as we can continue with this trend, we're going to see more upside. Now, because of the fact we sold off so much inside of this bear cycle, about 53% from the high to the low, I wasn't even expecting over a 40%. The fact that we got this is a very big steal inside the crypto market. Everybody should be doing everything they can to accumulate Bitcoin, especially now. And so this is really the analysis that I had for you guys. I want to talk to you guys about a few things that are important. Now, on a monthly time scale, if we take a look at the monthly chart and label our descending resistance, we can see that we're actually outside of that. And this is now acting as support. And so off of the monthly, we're actually breaking out of this bearish trend. As long as we can experience more continuation on the bullish side, I don't expect this trend to shift to any more downside. In fact, I think it's more likely that we continue up. Now, before we wrap up this video, let's talk about my next realistic price target. My next price target is going to be $9,500 per Bitcoin. About right there. That's where I think that we would actually start impulsing to. If in fact we have started our newish bullish trend, something like that, all the way back up to this resistance. Maybe we get a short-term pullback before continuing on higher, but something along those lines. I'm expecting about $9,500 to be met before we experience a significant pullback. And so this is my analysis that I had for you guys. Wanted to keep you updated on Bitcoin. Wanted to talk to you guys about massive profit potential being had inside of Cardano. As long as we can hold support on our lower low, as long as we can hold support in Cardano, then I'm actually going to be looking to be buying and be watching for that double bottom reversal pattern, which is one of the most profitable patterns I've ever found inside of cryptocurrency. I actually bought Ethereum Classic back in the day. I actually bought Bitcoin right after we broke out of its double bottom formation back in 2016. And so it's something that I've had a lot of high success with trading cryptocurrency, and I expect it to kind of continue to play out. And so this was the analysis that I had for you guys. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. And with all that being said, I will catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.